Let's have some review from last week. We talked about two servants. One, the good servant remembers what? The good servant remembers, I am not the owner. A servant understands he, God, is the owner of everything. The good servant also remembers, I am not alone. We need to share together in the body of Christ. Thirdly, the good servant remembers, I can't be lazy, I must be busy. You saw recently in the drama. One, the woman who was lazy did not buy the oil. Later, I will have plenty of time, you see? But who was the servant that was good? Bought the oil. And when bought the oil, went ahead and was able to enter into the bed. Come on now. Happy to see you. Happy to see you. The bad servant trusts their own heart. I had plenty of time myself. I had. The bad servant also divides believers. The bad servant goes ahead and causes fights and causes problems in the church. The bad servant goes ahead and gossips and slanders. The bad servant is selfish and doesn't share. Divisions in the believers' bodies. The bad servant also fellowships with the word. They go ahead and they accept the tattoos. They go ahead and they accept the earrings and the belly rings and the nose rings and the tongue rings and various things. They accept the fellowship with the world, which is really the worship of demon things. The bad servant tells, oh, it's all right. Men marry with men. It's all right. Women marry with women. It's all right. Many women with one man. It's all right. The world's way is fine. The bad servant doesn't pay attention and obey the Lord's teaching strictly that God created one man and created one woman and told them, go ahead and be married and make what? More children. Right? Obedience to the word of God. The bad servant tells, oh, I don't need to spank my children. I don't need to discipline them because it's all right. I tell them, time out. And they obey me. Right. God's word tells, if you do not spank your children, your soul of the children will be lost forever. Be careful we follow the word of the Lord strictly, because the good servant understands, I'm not the owner, I'm not alone in the world, and I must not be lazy, I must be busy following the word of the Lord. So review the consequence. If someone is a bad servant, they're not paying attention. They're not looking for the Lord to come. And the bad servant, what will happen? They will lose their own soul forever because they are not ready for the coming. I'm going to dark the lights a little bit. You can see this picture. I've already done it.
Oh, you did it bigger.
I made it bigger, as much focus as we have. We have in Matthew chapter 18, verse 35. Matthew chapter 18, verse 35. We have the personal servant that won't forgive. And if you remember the story related to that, Jesus Christ stops and tells, hold, because who shows up? The enemies of the Lord. The first group shows up and challenges Jesus Christ is the government group from Herod. The second group that shows up are the Sadducees that don't believe in the resurrection. They don't believe in angels. They don't believe in various things related with that. Thirdly, we have the Pharisees. And the Pharisees are new legal, following strict rules. They don't follow just the 10 Commandments. They follow 600 commands. From the Old Testament, they add and they add and add to the law. So three groups show up and challenge Jesus Christ. That is Matthew chapter 19 through chapter 21. And then we arrive in chapter 22 and chapter 23, and Jesus Christ explains about two things. First, he lists 8 woes. 8. And then he goes ahead and explains about judgment. What's the connection? Because in chapter 18, verse 35, Jesus Christ is telling a story about a servant that won't forgive. And then he holds because the enemies show up. And he discusses and discusses with the enemies. The enemies leave. And Jesus Christ starts discussing about an evil servant. And there's a connection from chapter 18 to chapter 24. The connection to the 10 virgins is not an accident. Understand, if you go ahead and you interpret it wrong, you will think 10 virgins is separate from the evil servant. You will think the 10 virgins is separate from the not forgiving servant. But in the mind of Jesus Christ, he did not stop. He saw the group of people coming, the enemies. He resolved the problem there. He showed them, you are wrong. They left. And Jesus Christ goes ahead and continues explaining with the disciples. And the connection to the 10 virgins is because 1/2 of the virgins, they fit or they match with what? The evil, the not forgiving servant. That group that was not ready. The careless group. They are not believers. And 1/2 of the group is a little bit lazy because you see they sleep also. But at the same time, they have finished bought the oil. They have finished been born again. They are believers. And so today we're going to talk about 2 groups of people. Now, today I believe in the church here we have 2 groups of people. Not talk about men's group and women's group. Not talk about adults and children, no. Pay attention. I'm talking about part of the people here believe in Jesus Christ. Faith in Christ alone will go to heaven and will be invited. And part of the group here have not believed, have not trusted in Jesus Christ. And if they arrive and they knock, they will find they were stuck because they've not yet had faith and it will be closed forever. So now today I want to encourage you, if you are here today and you think, maybe I'm not in the right group, we're going to transfer you. Thank you for coming, brother. We want to transfer you to faith in Jesus Christ today. Let's talk about Matthew chapter 25. Okay? Matthew chapter 25, verse 1. Then will the kingdom of heaven be same compared to 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forward to meet the bridegroom. The word bridegroom is related with a single person who is not yet married today, but is engaged, has been promised to go ahead and be married. Understand, we have the Jewish culture is different from the Jewish culture is different from the American culture here, okay? So if we understand, in American culture, where does the wedding happen? Where? A church, okay? Other places the wedding happens in America, where? A golf, park, different places outside, right? Beautiful trees and a courthouse, good, okay? Yeah. Sometimes people use a boat. They have a wedding on a boat, that's right, okay? Many different places. But important, okay? When I arrive at the church as a single man, I expect my wife in the future comes as a single woman. We both enter the church together. If the wedding happens in the church,